If there's one thing I think I've learned from making YouTube videos for 10 years now, it's don't let professionalism take the fun out of making something. Today somehow marks a whole decade since I started my YouTube channel. I was really racking my brain trying to think of something substantial to do for this because it's a one-time deal and it'll never happen again, but I just kind of figured, well, maybe I should just do something simple and just reflect a bit and see how far things have come since 2013. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been more creatively minded. I hated math, but I always liked reading and writing, history and art. Around this time, I think about 2008 is when I started using a computer on my own and watched YouTube. Stuff like Thomas and Friends episodes I didn't have on VHS or DVD, Sonic and Mario, Roblox, YouTube poops, cat videos, memes, and trains. Some YouTubers I remember watching were Miss Oliver and Blossom, Joey Turner, Mega Man 765, Mario 54321, Smosh, Some Call Me Johnny, JonTron, and a good few others. But I often thought, wouldn't it be cool if I made videos and had a bunch of subscribers too? Now, I didn't really know what I was actually gonna make, probably trains and gaming stuff. But it was also in 2008 is when I started using my mom's camera, an old 2002 Nikon Coolpix 4300, to take pictures and really short videos. It also used a compact flash card instead of an SD card, so that probably shows its age too. Skipping ahead to 2011, I got a Nintendo 3DS for Christmas, and with that I made some really shoddy stop motion animations and recorded some pretty crusty looking videos. I would say though, this early experience is what made me really seriously start thinking about making YouTube videos. For my 11th birthday in January 2012, I got my first camcorder. It was a Samsung SMX F50. Unfortunately, the SD card for it corrupted and I've only been able to recover some of the stuff on it. But it was with this camcorder I started filming and taking pictures of trains and whatever else. In February, I recorded my first train video with my 3DS. It was a BC Rail C40-AM leading a CN train. Here's another early train video I took at Greenfield Village during a 4th grade field trip. In the summer, I got an iPad, mainly to play trains. But I also started taking pictures with it, especially on car rides. I also made memes that were, very of the time. Watching episodes of Extreme Trains over and over on my iPad I think also played a role in me wanting to make videos. Another thing I did was make videos in iMovie. I don't have them anymore, but it was stuff of my cat and plush and action figure skit videos. 2012 is also when I started rail fanning. My mom and I would go out to a set of railroad tracks, wait for a train, I film it, and then we go home. My first one was on July 7th, 2012. Funny story about it, the reason that the audio sounds kind of weird is my hand was over the iPad microphone, so it came out with a weird effect. I'd switch between using my camcorder and iPad to film trains, just whatever I had with me at the time. So now we're finally to the moment you've been waiting for. During the summer between 5th and 6th grade when I was 11 years old, on this day, July 22nd, 2013, I made my YouTube channel. Didn't upload my first video until the 23rd, but still, woo, yeah, woohoo, applause and cheer. My original username was TheRailFan365. I know I've mentioned that quite a few times before, but just in case you hadn't heard about that. My first video was AEM7 and HHP8 Tribute, because at that time it was recently announced the ACS64s would be taking over for both of those engines. I made it using Windows Movie Maker 2.6 because Windows Live Movie Maker felt way more limited with the editing options compared to some of the older versions. Now, the original upload had different music. It was like a sorta electronic piece, it's kinda somber, but for whatever reason at some point I used the YouTube editor and changed it to some corny jazz that you hear in it now. I tried reverting it several years ago and I still try to do it now, but for some reason it just doesn't work. After that I just started posting my backlog of train videos from my iPad and camcorder, until I just stopped uploading for 4 months. I don't know what happened, but then I posted my first Trains Simulator video in January of 2014. What's funny is I don't even think I finished it because the ending is just so abrupt. Like, a CSX train pulls forward with some gondolas, it stops, and then the video just ends. I think I maybe had a couple more scenes planned, but I either forgot or said screw it and uploaded it anyway. I think it was around this time too that I changed my username to Amtrak Guy 365. I thought it flowed better and it was more unique and representative of who I was. Amtrak stemmed from my favorite railroad, Guy because I'm a guy, and 365 is the number of my favorite Amtrak train, the Blue Water. From then onward, I pretty much just envisioned myself doing rail fanning videos, model trains, and train simulator content. A lot of my early rail fanning videos were made literally by me sticking my iPad out the car window and filming the train as it goes by. I flip-flopped from using a trial version of Sony Vegas Pro 12 or Movie Studio in Windows Live Movie Maker. I finally switched over to Sony Vegas in early 2015. The reason most of my old Trains videos have huge black bars on the top and bottom is I don't think I realized you could resize like what part of the screen you could record. And even when I got Sony Vegas, so like I could crop out the Bandicam logo, I just never zoomed in on it to hide it. I don't know what I was thinking. I also didn't really know how trains were organized in the yard, so you'd see stuff like coal cars and then like intermodal containers, trash container cars, and then a whole like mixed freight train behind it with auto racks or something like that. The first Crashes in Trains 12 part came out in June, and that was basically the first video of mine to get any sort of decent views if I'm remembering right. Trains was basically responsible for getting my channel its first sense of traction and onto the algorithm. 2015 had my first oddball videos, a JonTron meme, Catch That Train, my take on an old meme from 2006, and Thomas the Tank Engine fad, which was my take on Squidward fad from 2008. I was obsessed with old internet trends, and I guess you could say that I was kind of ahead of the times because some of that humor has come back in the past few years. But I would say 2015 was the start of variety content on my channel, stuff that strayed away from the usual content I mentioned before. I got a Sony CX440 camcorder for Christmas, and that's what I started using in 2016. I also got my first camera, a Nikon L840, sometime around May or something like that, and that's what kickstarted me getting into photography. So I like to think three things boosted my channel in 2016 and kickstarted the momentum and growth that's kind of carried my channel up to today. The Marysville Railroad stories, railfan stereotypes, and Mario and Train Simulator. I also started using the Super Mario typeface as my first attempt at branding. 2017, I got back into Thomas & Friends, and that pretty much took over the channel for the whole year. Although Engines of Amtrak also started that year, and I guess you could say that's also the origin of when I started making history-oriented videos. I did make a history video in August 2016, but it was...
The International is normally powered by a Via F40PH with Amtrak Superliners.
Bad. Moving on. 2018 had some personal hard times fall upon me with my grandparents passing away and me just generally feeling unhappy with myself. It was hard a lot of days to make videos, but I persisted through. Cass City Branch Line story started up because I wanted to make a train series that was set in Michigan, since in my opinion Michigan is kind of underrepresented in the railroad world. And the Hiawatha trilogy was made to be a smaller, more grounded series since I felt like Marysville had way too many characters. In retrospect, there was no way I was going to be able to manage 3 series at once, but at the time I thought it was a perfectly fine idea. 2019 came around and my computer blew up. And by that I mean it crashed when I was playing Team Fortress 2 one day. It got stuck in a startup loop, and basically the only way to get it to boot up at all was do a fresh install of Windows, which wiped everything that wasn't pre-installed on my computer, so all my games and programs were basically gone. The computer was from 2012 and it was going on 7 years old, so I guess it got a pretty good run. Thankfully, I got a new gaming PC like a week later. Even then, though, I didn't really make a whole lot of interesting stuff in 2019 because all of my train series were dead, and Engines of Amtrak was done at the time. So I pretty much just kind of went back to my roots of doing just trains content and a little bit of rail fanning stuff here and there. Then I made Granger Railtales as kind of meant to be a definitive replacement for all the series that I lost, trying to combine elements of all three of them. Well, later on in the year, I made my first proper history video. At the time, I was trying to think, well, what do I want to make next? And then I thought, no one's really talked about the Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton arches near Detroit. So then I made the Henry Ford DT&I video. Then CN History of a Design, and then the Railroad versus Railway Terminology video, that one of which I like to think basically set the standard for how my editing style would be going forward. And with how positively received all of those were, I decided to shift my focus to history-oriented content. And that essentially brings us up to today. I rebranded my channel in 2020 and 2021 and started using Futura as my go-to typeface for branding and video since it's my favorite. At the end of the day, I intend on making YouTube videos for pretty much as long as I can. History, rail fanning, train sim stuff, maybe even try to get a little bit of model railroading stuff back on the channel again, and whatever else I can think of, gaming stuff, my cat. Even if my upload schedule slows down, I still want to make videos because it's always fun to learn new things and teach other people, and it's also very gratifying to finish a project. Plus seeing what everyone has to say about it. All of your support, no matter how long it's been, whether you've been watching a few months, a few years, or even 5 or 8 years, all of it means the same to me, and it's all truly, really genuinely meant a lot to me, and it's helped out a ton. It's cliche as hell to say, and I know I say it a lot, but I really, truly never expected to be where I'm at today with over 85,000 subscribers and 38 million views. Like, that just seems insane for making train videos. The way I view making videos is, it should be fun. It doesn't need to be super overly professional or corporate, as in, it can have good editing. But I like having fun with it, like the memes, the characters, and the references I put into all my videos. I think it keeps things unique and interesting, and also I just think it's funny. I want to keep my channel feeling personal, because at the end of the day, I'm just someone sitting at his computer making train videos. I'm not a company, or I don't claim to be a professional video producer. Like, for example, I'm no professional public speaker or nothing. I'm not really great talking off the cuff while on recording. I always prefer having a script because I am following one right now, but I am trying to interject and improv a little bit. Otherwise, without a script, I tend to repeat myself. And another thing is, I don't want my channel to be just about the trains. Yeah, that's my main focus and everything, but I also want it to be about me and my interests and a little bit about who I am as a person. And I like to combine all of them together. I mean, that's why I've experimented with gaming videos and videos of my cat. I think if you keep working at what you like to do and not what someone else or the internet tells you to do, and you have some fun and creativity with it, I think you can achieve your goals, whatever they may be. It may not be easy all the time, especially when I'm doing all the work for my videos on my own, but I've just learned to stick with it, take breaks, take a step back, see if I can change anything with a clear mind instead of overthinking everything, and try to change and adapt to things best I can if I have to. It's still insane to me that I started this channel when I was 11 years old, and as of me recording this, I'm 21 and I just graduated out of college with a graphic design degree back in May. Another thing is the fact that I'm getting comments now of people saying, "Oh, I remember watching this when I was a kid." Like, what? Like, has it really been that long? But yeah, because of YouTube, I've been able to travel to some great places. I've been able to meet some lifelong friends, and it's kind of amazing knowing I achieved a childhood dream of mine. Well, of course, with all the help of you all watching my videos. So with all of that said, thank you so much for the past 10 years, and thank you for sticking around to the end here, listening to me ramble on and whatnot. So yeah, here's to another 10 years to come maybe, hopefully. And yeah, I'll see you in another video.